Why do I love mastering the dungeon so much? Well, I'll tell you on this episode. Um, the thing with dungeon mastering for me is, and the way it started for me was knowing a few people that were interested in getting into Dungeons and Dragons, and knowing that I was the only one of them that had ever played. And I knew how roughly the rules worked because, well, I played the game. So I started my first game. First game was like 14 players or something crazy. It was just ridiculous. It broke down and we just couldn't do it. It was just impossible. The second game that I ran, though, was the classic one where I caught my stride. I learned the rules really well, and rules are meant to be broken in Dungeons and Dragons of my world. But so the way it all started was I was originally running on Kryn, the Dragonlance world, and I can't remember why, but I was just like, Pete was talking to me, I think, about he had created his own world, and I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm sorry, Pete. And so I'm like, well, if he did that and he's a great DM, then I guess I should do that. And so Athalia was born that way. I took a pencil and I just did this on a piece of paper for the main land that everything was going to start on, basically. And then I had Athalia. That was the basic shape of Athalia. I tweaked it a little bit. I went in, I added some coves, and some lakes, and rivers, and mountains, and so on and so forth. But everything started in this capital city of Athalia. And my world went to, through all their journeys, which was several years. 3 years, maybe? 3 years we played this game? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of it wrong. But it felt like we played it for a very long time. And the story just continued to advance, and it built this world around the characters, because I was like, well, they've been in these plains areas for a while, or forest area for a while. Let's get them to the desert, change things up. And I used to love to, so I'd have to create these zones in my mind, but I knew that looking at the map, things had to fit places. And that's when I came up with the idea for Shamar, which is the frozen wastelands in Athalia, and Elisha, which is the desert on the opposite side of the mountains. You've got extreme climates and magic holding them in place, basically. There's a dome, which I never really got into, but you can pass through it either way. It just keeps the cold up and it keeps the heat down or whatever. I don't know. So little things like that just grew, and then all of a sudden you'd be like, well, I need them to leave here and go to another land. So I'd do islands around there, and then I started branching off and doing other side of the world, and a lot of that never got explored, which is why I can't wait to start running a actual Dungeons and Dragons game again, because that means my world's going to grow at the same time. That is why I prefer running a game to playing a game, because it allows my imagination and my creative side to just stretch out, and sometimes you need that, and a lot of the things I do artistically are very they have a point to them, they get to the point. With Dungeons and Dragons, it's friends hanging out, enjoying a game for several hours together, usually drinking here as well. So no, actually, I drink enough for all of them, but sometimes there's a few drinks that go around, and they're just fun guys to hang out with. So yeah, that's my game now, and so we're going to, I think, pick it back up again. I don't know how I'm going to do this, though, because I've got, well, I have one player that's moving away, but hopefully he may Skype or make appearances, but I think it brings down the numbers of the group a little bit, too. So then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. I think that's a comfortable game. 5 sometimes helps a little bit too. So, it's in that comfort zone, though, basically. So now that we're going back to Athalia, we left the group. I don't have all their names in front of me, but they were heading to try to find Janix, who was my friend Pete, who just came to visit me last month. and Janix has kind of been their mentor and kind of guided them along the way. So he'd gotten into a little bit of trouble, and they were going to go try to help him out. So I'm probably going to pick it up right there, and then quickly things will change because I'll have 2 new characters, and we'll be down 2 old characters. That's right, Jason Miller and Sam Winston. Sam and Jay, yeah, Jason. We lost their characters. Well, we didn't lose them. I'm sure they'll Skype in from time to time. But at this point, if we'd have 3 people Skyping in, which means we'd need 3 extra laptops so that we could sit them at the table, which I want to do because that's awesome. Dude, it's awesome. They need to start building webcams with a 360 view that come up and they have a camera, or at least, I don't know, how could you do that? So you could just keep, well, I guess it could just be it could pivot, so that if you were talking to someone on a webcam and they just wanted to look around the room around you, they could do that. Wouldn't that be kind of neat? They could control your camera and you can control theirs, so you could be like, hey, that's a new ceiling fan, huh? I don't know. That's my only electrical thing I've been able to kind of accomplish in my life. Installing lights and ceiling fans. I guess that's a lot. A lot of people won't even touch electricity because they're like, I'll die. I was like that for a long time. I'm still kind of like that, but I'll probably just die. Hopefully not. So, I will be telling you a lot about the upcoming game in the next coming weeks. The 26th, we're all getting together to convert to 5th edition, because we're going to try it out, you know what I mean? That way we have the characters in 4th edition, Pathfinder, and 5th edition. So if we ever choose to flip between those, we can do that now. But I think I'm going to like 5th edition from everything I've been reading about it. It's definitely... Peter Burnt had it exactly right when he said, if 2nd edition and 3.5 edition, I believe he said, had a baby, it would be this. And I think it's right. And there's a few new things I think they're doing, random stuff in the game to simplify rolls and stuff without modifiers. I'll tell you more about that next time. I'm going to call it, though. Time of death, 10:16 p.m. So if you've ever wondered why I prefer dungeon mastering over playing, now you know. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow on the Road to 40 with me, Jason Oliveira.